Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of a real corporate giant. Keells Holdings PLC, JKH.
That's right.
This isn't just Sri Lanka's biggest company on the stock exchange. It's so deeply woven into the country's economy. Understanding JKH really is a shortcut to grasping a huge piece of Sri Lanka's economic picture.
It really is.
Our mission today, to kind of unpack what makes this powerhouse tick and, well, why its story matters so much. So how does one company get so integrated, not just, going with the flow, but actually shaping the economy?
It's quite a story. When you look back, JKH is a multinational conglomerate. Its history goes way back, actually, to the 1870s.
Wow, 1870s.
Yeah, it was formally incorporated later in 1979 and then listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange, the CSE, back in 1986.
Okay.
And their vision, they stated as building businesses that are leaders in the region. And you really see that. They operate across 7 main industry sectors.
7. Okay, what are they?
You've got transportation, consumer foods, retail, leisure, think hotels and resorts, property, financial services, and then this category they call other.
Other. What's an other?
Well, that actually includes some pretty strategic stuff like IT services and plantation services. So it's quite broad.
That is incredibly diverse. So how does all this play out on the bottom line, especially with Sri Lanka's economy having its ups and downs?
Right. Well, financially, we've seen JKH consistently grow its consolidated revenue. It went from about, Rs 138.9 billion in fiscal year 2020 to a really substantial Rs 317.38 billion in FY 2024.
That's more than doubled in 4 years.
Exactly. Huge growth there. However, the net profit story is a bit more volatile. It actually dipped quite noticeably in FY 2024 down to Rs 5.33 billion.
Oh, why was that?
A big part of that dip was due to costs associated with the new Cinnamon Life Hotel. Heavy depreciation charges, interest expenses as it was ramping up. Big projects have those initial hits.
Okay, that makes sense. Startup costs for something massive.
Precisely. Yeah. But here's what's really interesting, and I think crucial. If you look at their group EBITDA.
Right, the operational performance measure.
Exactly. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That actually showed consistent growth. It went from Rs 20.1 billion in FY 2020 up to Rs 43.7 billion in FY 2024.
So the underlying business operations remained strong.
Very strong. It indicates that even while absorbing these huge investment costs, the core businesses were performing well and generating good profits operationally.
That's a really important distinction. Shows the foundation is solid. And well, this kind of leads us perfectly into the next bit, because JKH isn't just growing steadily. They're making some really massive strategic bets, moves that could reshape things significantly.
They really are.
Take the Cinnamon Life Integrated Resort. We mentioned the costs, but this is a huge $1 billion project. It's hotel, restaurants, banquet facilities. They started operations in October 2024. This thing is designed to basically transform Colombo, right? Make it a major leisure and entertainment destination.
Absolutely. The ambition there is huge, and it's not just Cinnamon Life. Another massive strategic piece is the West Container Terminal, WCT1, at the Port of Colombo.
Right, the port project.
Yeah. Phase 1 of commercial operations kicked off in the last quarter of the 2024-25 fiscal year. This is vital for boosting Colombo Port's capacity and solidifying its role as a key regional shipping hub. Think global trade routes.
So big infrastructure plays. But they're not just sticking to traditional areas, are they? I saw something about electric vehicles.
That's right. They've partnered with BYD, the Chinese EV giant.
Oh, wow. BYD is huge globally.
Exactly. And apparently they're already seeing significant pre-orders in Sri Lanka. So that's definitely a forward-looking move, tapping into that whole new energy vehicle trend.
Interesting. Okay, so lots of big projects, new ventures. But speaking of strategic shifts, what about ownership? Has anything changed there? That's always key for a company this size.
That's a really pertinent question. And yes, there was a notable change. In January 2025, a major shareholder, HWIC Asia Fund, they converted some debentures they held, basically, debt they can turn into shares, and that significantly increased their stake to 24.31%.
So almost a quarter of the company now.
Pretty much. Now, while this was likely a planned financing move for JKH, the effect was a slight dilution for other public shareholders. Their percentage ownership went down a tiny bit.
Right, so a structural shift in the shareholder base. Something to keep an eye on.
Definitely worth noting. It influences the ownership landscape.
Okay, so pulling it all together. What makes JKH consistently stand out? It's not just the size, is it? What makes them, top tier?
Well, the size is definitely part of it. Largest listed conglomerate on the CSE, market cap around LKR 440.71 billion as of July 2025. That's big.
Undeniably.
But it's more than that. Look at the recognition. They've been named Sri Lanka's most respected entity for something like 19 or 20 years running.
20 years. That's incredible consistency.
It really is. And also recognized as the most transparent company. That speaks volumes about governance, trust, reliability, things that are, frankly, invaluable. Plus, their membership in the UN Global Compact signals a commitment to sustainability and ethics.
Right, aligning with global standards. Those accolades are impressive. But, okay, let's talk risks. For you, our listener, considering this company, what are the potential downsides, especially being so tied to one country?
That's the key risk, really. Despite all that diversification across sectors,
Yeah.
their primary exposure is Sri Lanka's macroeconomic situation. That's unavoidable. So things like fluctuations in the Sri Lankan rupee that can seriously impact revenues earned in foreign currency or the cost of things they import.
Makes sense. Currency risk is real.
And then, of course, you have the risks tied to those massive projects we talked about, Cinnamon Life, WCT1.
Project execution risks.
Exactly. Things like construction delays, maybe costs running higher than budgeted, or even just the market not picking up as quickly as hoped. These are inherent risks with any large-scale development. Always factors to watch.
Okay, so let's step back for the big picture then, connecting these dots. JKH's vision, these huge investments, it feels like more than just typical corporate growth.
It does, doesn't it?
They seem to be actively, shaping Sri Lanka's economic future, influencing infrastructure, tourism, global trade positioning.
It certainly looks that way. Their scale gives them that influence.
So the question to leave everyone with is, what does it really mean for a nation when one single company plays such a central role in its development, its competitiveness on a regional stage? Definitely something to think about until our next deep dive.